Hello, folks. Today I'm joined by Yevgeny from the Legends of Signum, and we're going to be talking about the new Kickstarter that's coming up to add some new factions in. So it's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you so much. Likewise, and a big pleasure. Thank you for having me here today. And I'm here from home in Ukraine.
I think all of us have been squirreled away into our relative homes for a little while now. So first off, for people who haven't seen the Legends of Signum before, can you tell us a bit about the type of game it is?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Legends of Signum is a skirmish war game. It is like not a common war game like with plenty of characters on the battlefield. It's like a war game where some squads fight against each other on the battlefield. So in our game, there are around 5-6 characters for each side on the battlefield, and you use special battle deck to summon them to the battlefield. And also you use spells, you use some different tactic cards, use some terrains to impede the creature's movement, etc. And also you construct your city in your building zone, your area, to summon the creatures actually, and also of course to play these spells. So at the start of the game you choose your hero and choose your faction, situate it on your battlefield side, and draw your cards from battle deck that consist of characters and spells, and then depending on how much buildings do you have and what are they specifically are, you summon characters to fight against your opponent, and also play spells, for example, to deal some damage, to heal the characters, etc. And the objective is to eliminate the opponent's hero, or to construct all buildings in your city zone, and along with it to collect 33 prosperity points. It is a little bit different from our very first winning objective, because previously it was like collecting only 51 prosperity points. Yeah, but now we changed it to a little bit more different objective.
Sure.
So
it's a fascinating thing because it's such a unique blend of miniature board game and collectible card game, where you've got an awful lot of tactics that you can build in simply from how you actually put things like your battle deck together, and the characters, the minions that go in with your hero, because the you don't start with two full forces on the battlefield at the start of the game. You just start with hero against hero and sort of build from there.
Yeah, and what is interesting that besides that you got your like high quality miniatures, high quality resin miniatures and fantasy setting. You also have this duo game when you can like play with your friends with for example, like paint your models and go against your opponent in a battle. And besides the things we offer in starter set, you can like construct your army depending on the strength of characters, or probably depending on their appearance. If some people like their style, and bring their squad, put them into their deck, and find their hero and make them lead the army to the victory.
Yeah, so it's a fascinating. It's a very quick play game as well. You've got you're playing on like a 60 centimeter mat in the middle of your table, and you can get a game within half an hour to sort of an hour and a half, depending on how brutal you either take down your opponent or your opponent takes you down. So you can get quite a lot of games in an afternoon, which is always good. So the Kickstarter is actually adding two new factions to Legends of Signum. Then, do you want to take us through the plans then for your Kickstarter and for the new factions?
Yeah, sure. It is our third Kickstarter campaign, by the way. The first one was in 2018 with our very first Legends of Signum set, Battle for Valor, where we presented first two new factions, Empire and the Free City. And the second campaign was like a standalone game, Dragon Hunters.
Yes.
That can be like some of the stuff can be used in Legends of Signum.
Okay.
This is our third campaign. So the Cursed Forest presents you two new factions, Akari Spider Elves and Alliance of Unicorn. So this is battle between spider-like creatures, the previously forest elves that were cursed by some disease in their forest, and they became like very poisonous creatures. And the alliance is like forest elves teamed up with Wolfens.
Yeah.
And they like
sort of an alliance of convenience.
Yeah, and their objective, like they're very different between each other in their alliance, but they decided to save the world because you know, the Akari and their touch, they poisonous touch can, you know, destruct the nature itself and break calamity. So this is this unity is like code to actually save everything in the nature and fight against the cursed people.
Yeah,
spider elves. Yeah,
I have to say the miniatures blew me away, but then I'm used to being blown away by the miniatures you guys produce. That's why I have quite a few of them. But they carry themselves, because the elves and the Wolfen are really nice elves. They're really nice Wolfen. You knew what to expect, but the Akari, the multi-limbed madness that's going on with them is particularly good. Things like that.
Yeah,
Wolfen, who's just some sort of monstrous blend of insect and Wolfen, is just stunning. And then the Queen of Sorrow, I have no idea how you pronounce that.
Gwaedrugan.
Gwaedrugan.
Yeah.
She is stunning. I was blown away by her. I'm going to see whether or not I can get a painting tutorial done. It will probably be after the Kickstarter has gone, unfortunately. But I really want to see her painted up, because that model is just amazing.
Yeah, looks great. And you know, it's like our faction has its their own style and appearance. So
yeah,
so Akari have like you know, pretty uncommon and some dark style, and whether they have their dark and thematic, they also like in their game mechanics they work like in this form, and they have their queens like, you know, like bees, like some insects, or it's like infested elves that work like the one mechanism in the swarm, something like that.
Yeah, they're all about sort of poisoning and overwhelming their opponent.
Yeah.
The other thing that this Kickstarter is bringing is a new gameplay mode. So up until now, for Legends of Signum, it's been a player versus player, essentially just a war game or a board game, the sort of standard offensive style of game where you're attempting to beat your opponent. But now you've got a quest mode that also allows you to play player versus environment in like a solo version. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah. So the PvE mode and also PvP mode, the quest mode, actually, it is designed like a special mode for people who can like challenge themselves against the game. In this mode, you bring your army already constructed. For example, you played against your opponent a few minutes ago, and you can like challenge the game. So in this game, you play against the Overlord, which is the game itself, and challenge him into the battle in who will be the first to collect the necessary amount of victory points. At this point, you draw your quest cards every turn until you have 2 on your side, and if you yes, something
so
like this.
Those are the quest cards.
Yes, they have important. They have necessary and completing objectives, and once you complete the quest, you like getting your reward, and put it into your pool of accomplished quests.
Yeah. So,
But
for example,
but if you failed, you can get some penalties, and Overlord increases his army too. So it's like the game becomes enraged if you not successful in the game. So and also and this is like 2 sides of coin, because if you successful, it also can become more powerful. So you can just be very attentive to the way you're playing, play very wisely, and like don't move randomly on the battlefield, and just put your efforts very strictly to your game plan.
Yeah, so you can't just hope to wait the Overlord out. He'll ramp up against you, and at the same time, if you are doing well, then also he'll ramp up against you. So there's a bit of pushback when you're playing, which is good. And you can still take this quest mode and still play a PvP version of it as well.
Yeah, and PvP is very similar to PvE, but it can be a little bit more difficult, because when in the PvE mode, all the creatures of your enemy are controlled by the game, and they have some special movement plan. But for PvP mode, the another player controls them. So it can be even more I don't know how to explain it, but it's like another way than unstandard way, probably.
Yeah. So if you're playing PvE and there's a creature moving, it's got a predictable movement. You know it's going to move by the shortest distance it can towards you, so you can account for that. But if your friend is playing the Overlord, then they won't be moving in a predictable fashion. They're a little more irregular. And
like in the PvE mode, you can predict the movement. It doesn't make the game easier because like the game is designed for for people who can find difficult moments in the game, actually. So that's not a big deal that you can predict their movement.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't help too much if your quest card is telling you that you have to go to a forest to essentially summon a wolf to kill a wolf, because you need to do that 4 times. So if you're constantly running people into forests, then you become trapped by either you wait for the minions to come to you, or you don't complete the quest. You know, you're forced to engage, which is great. I assume then that the little deck of dice cards is the PvE. That's how you tell what's being rolled against you.
Yeah, this like a dice deck. It's called like this. So so instead of rolling dice for the game, actually, so whenever the opponent's creature of the Overlord actually should roll dice, you just draw a card from this deck. And depending on how many dice it should roll this time, you just count them from top
to bottom.
Top to bottom. Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting. So it means that even though every card has 4 dice on it, and there could be many successes, you may not actually get them because you're only supposed to be rolling 2 dice, and the top 2 may be failures, and the bottom 2 can be 6.
Just to for quicker determination of the opponent's creatures dice rolls. So
that's a nice little addition. So how long is the Kickstarter running for then?
So Kickstarter is going to be launched on June 9th, and it's going to last 24 days.
Okay, so there's good
So
time
it ends at early July.
plenty of time for people to get involved then if they're interested in jumping on.
Yeah,
Have
of
you
course. Yeah.
have you plans for any stretch goals in there, or is this going to be a relatively self-contained campaign?
Of course, we're happy to provide stretch goals to our backers and to make them like be fascinating into opening some new bonuses, etc. So in our stretch goals will consist of a lot of new game content and also free miniatures. So people with who like bonus miniatures, that's their chance to open the new free miniatures for their box.
Mm-hmm. Well, that sounds fascinating. I can't wait to see the actual Kickstarter launch and people get on board with it. Like I say, I'm lucky enough to have the 2 starter sets here, so I'm going to be getting in and playing some solo games myself. But the miniatures are just absolutely gorgeous as ever, and the new quest mode has added a very unique way of playing, especially at the moment where I can't play anybody else. So solo mode games are ideal.
Yeah,
So
that's very true.
it'll be nice to see how people pick up the quest mode. I assume this is something then that can be retrofitted onto the existing Legends of Signum factions. The quest modes, will there be ways to get like the quest cards and decks and stuff separately after the campaign?
Yeah, it's like it's not like separately left the campaign. So everything will be inside the box.
All right. Okay.
So you got yours, for example, starter box. Depending on your faction, for example, you choose a carry or alliance or both, and inside each of them, you got everything necessary for the quest mode as well.
That's great to hear. Yevgeny, it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Likewise.
I hope your campaign goes from strength to strength, and I hope to speak to you again soon. The next time you are working on something, it would be nice to get you across and actually play a game in the studio when all this madness ends. That would be fun too.
Looking forward to it.
Yep. Okay, folks, we're going to move on here. If you have any questions about Legends of Signum, drop them below. We'll do our best to get answers for you, or pop across to the campaign, which should be live now when you're watching this, and possibly back some Macari, because Spider Elves are awesome.